Hi, Emily here, and welcome to our chair yoga practice. Go ahead and grab your chair. Recommend that you have one without any sides on it so that we can move around and use the seat of it a little bit more easily. You can have any height on the back. Grab a pillow, one that you'll place in between the thighs at some point, so maybe a little bit sturdy, and think about the thickness when you're grabbing your pillows. You could even grab a couple. If you're going to stay seated for most of the practice, also grab something for you to put your feet on. I have this big fluffy yarn bolster that's pretty firm. You could also use a stool or any other kind of footrest. Have that nearby and find a comfortable seat on your chair. So I'll turn to the side so I can show you. The ankles right underneath the knees, the whole foot planted on the ground. You can have some distance between the knees. The feet can be in line with the hips. Shoulders stacked over your hips. And you want this little curve in the low back. So none of this rounding in. You might want to sit on the edge of your chair so that you can sit up nice and tall. There'll be a little bit of a tilt forward without really pushing the belly over the thighs. Find a comfortable seat. I'm going to turn back to the front. You can have any little wiggle as you need to get settled in here. Sitting up nice and tall. The hands can relax in the lap. Either palms down if you feel like you need help settling. If you feel like you're a little lethargic and need a little bit more energy, you can have the palms facing up. That might help. A little sigh maybe. And you start to notice. Notice the hands resting on the legs. Feeling whatever fabric or skin is touching them. Notice the temperature, the texture. Notice the ground beneath the feet, even shifting the feet just a little, wiggling the toes. Notice its texture, its temperature, its solidity. Press your feet a little bit more firmly into the ground so you can sit up even taller. A little slight spread across the collarbones, a little lift of the back of the neck. Noticing the temperature of the space you're in. Noticing the sounds in your space. Any noises close by. Any noises a little further away, maybe outside of your room, outside of your building even. We all have a little background noise. And you bring your attention to your breath, breathing in, breathing out. Notice the feel of the air right at the nose, in the back of the throat, and then filling up the lungs. As you exhale, the lungs descend, the breath comes back up the throat, out of the nose. Maybe breathing in and out of the mouth, feeling the breath in your mouth and then the throat. Notice the temperature. You notice if there's a taste or a smell. Starting to deepen the breath a little bit more. Breathing into the belly. Breathing into the sides of ribs. Breathing into back of lungs. Check in and notice if there's anything you need in your movement today. that's physical, mental, and or emotional. What can you do to help and care for yourself? You might keep the eyes closed with the gaze really soft as you inhale. Reach the arms out to the side, reaching up to the sky above you. Exhale, bend the elbows, draw the elbows down by the sides, hands and fingers coming back to point down by the ground, the elbows lengthening. Inhale, sweep up. Exhale, bend the elbows, draw them down by the sides, and the fingers point down to the ground when the elbows are hugging in. Nice. Inhale, sweeping up. Exhale, draw the elbows out to the side and draw them a little bit back. So you're starting to get a little stretch in the shoulders, fingers coming down. Inhale, scoop up. You can imagine like you're spreading your wings, drawing them back, starting to lift the heart. Nice. Once more, just like that. Inhale, sweeping up. And exhale, drawing down. Nice. This time as you bring the arms up, exhale, reach the arms out to the side so hands are at the same height of the shoulders. Fingers point up to the sky, palms out and away. Press through the heel of the hands, starting to get a nice stretch in the underside of the arms. And you can really keep the eyes nice and soft here. You could open them. Maybe you really try to reach the fingers up and away, wiggle the fingers. Point the fingers down. The back of the hand is out and away from you. You can start to bring all the fingertips together and really get a nice stretch in the back of the wrists, all the way up and into the forearm, maybe the elbow. Big breath here. Inhale, point the fingers up, press out through the heel of the hand. Exhale, fingers point down, press through the back of the wrist, right here. Inhale, pointing up. Exhale, pointing down. Inhale, up. Exhale, down. Once more like that. Inhale, pointing the fingers up, press out through the heel of the hand. Exhale, point down, press out through the back of the wrist, drawing the fingertips together. And then point the thumbs up to the sky, make a fist like you're hitchhiking. And start to point the thumb back behind you, rotating the inside of the elbow a little bit more up, maybe open the chest a little. Exhale, turn the thumb all the way down to the ground, maybe even starting to come back behind you now, pointing down at the ground. Starting to roll the shoulders in just a little bit. And you can exaggerate this movement, especially the first time. Inhale, coming up, opening, fingertip, thumb pointing up and back. Exhale, thumbs rotating down, back a little bit behind you, rotating all the way up into the shoulder joint. Inhale, pointing up and back. Open the chest. Exhale, pointing down and back, rolling a little in. Inhale, pointing up. And exhale, rolling down. And this should start to feel like a little bit of work. Inhale, up. And exhale, down. Once more like this. Inhale, pointing up. Exhale, pointing down. Nice. This time, inhale, the arms come up and overhead and just bring the hands on top of the shoulders. Give the shoulders a little bit of a rub here. All the way down the arm to the elbow. Get the forearms, even get the wrists, and then the hands squeezed together. And you can also just give the shoulders a little roll, the arms a little bit of a shake. Coming right away into our low lunge or lunge on the chair. Start to turn your right knee out to the side, the right foot coming off the right edge of the chair, ankle stacked under the knee. You start to sneak the left foot back behind you, moving things if they're in the way, of course. And your heel's coming right over the ball of your left foot. The left knee might be pretty much right over the left hip, and you're starting to turn your chest over towards the right side of the chair. You can stay right here with the hands on the hips. Maybe you lift the arms up, press into the right foot. You start to engage the back of the leg. Draw the left kneecap a little bit more down towards the ground. You can stay right here for a breath or two. Interlace the hands behind the back, starting to squeeze the elbows in towards each other. Maybe you wiggle the left foot back a little bit further, starting to lengthen out the left leg, get even more stretch in the left leg, the left hip. Your hands, if you're clasping the high back, can just be resting right on the flat part of the low back on your seat, drawing the elbows together, lifting the heart. Great, and then bend the left knee. If you had it bent at all, slide the foot back in to help support you as you spin all the way over to the other side. Now, your left knee is coming off the left side of the chair, left ankle under the left knee. You can start with the right knee bent, the knee right underneath the hip, heel right on top of the ball of the foot. Turn your chest a little bit more off towards the left edge of your chair. You can take the arms up and overhead. Really press into the left foot. You're starting to engage. Anyone is welcome to start to push into their foot so much so that they stand up. Or maybe you stay seated and really look for this nice stretch for a couple of breaths. Hands going to interlace behind the back. Maybe the opposite thumb on top, whichever one feels a little bit unusual. And maybe you sneak the right foot back a little bit further, lengthening the legs, still turning the chest over the left side of your chair. Couple breaths here. Pressing back through the right heel, stamping down into the left foot, growing taller. Great. Starting to bend the right knee a little bit, unclasping the hands, using them to help support you as you make your way all the way back to the center. Feet plant down in front of you again. We'll do our half sun salutations here. You're welcome to stand up. Press into the feet, inhale, reach the arms up above you. Exhale, maybe you draw the elbows down by the sides of the body as the hands find the lap, folding over the legs. We'll pause here for a couple of breaths. The forearms could be on the thighs. Could be here, letting the chin fall into the chest. Some people have room to fold a little bit deeper, their hands even coming down to the ground, letting their belly and chest rest on thighs. We'll have 3 breaths here. One more. If the hands are reaching down towards the ground, bringing them back on top of the thighs, using the support of the hands on the thighs to lift the heart forward. Start to arch the back a little, squeeze the shoulder blades behind you. We'll pause up here for another breath. And then round in again. Inhale, press into the feet. Come all the way up. Reach the arms up above you. And exhale, right away we'll come with the next round. Elbows squeezing down by the sides, folding over the legs. Moving one breath this time, so maybe not going down quite as low. Inhale, press into the feet, press into the hands, lift the heart, our halfway lift. Exhale, folding over the legs, letting the head dangle for a moment. Inhale, press into the feet, come all the way to sit upright. You might shrug the shoulders up to the ears. Exhale, shoulders come down. Inhale, sweep the arms out to the side, reach up. Exhale, bend the elbows, drawing them into the side as you bend over the legs. Hands find the thighs, folding in. Inhale, press into the feet, lift the heart away from the legs. Squeeze the shoulder blades and exhale, round the back, fold over the legs. Inhale, press into feet, press into hands, all the way up to sit. Shoulders scrunching up to the ears. Exhale, let the shoulders relax. Hands on the legs. Once more like that. Inhale, reaching up. Exhale, draw the elbows down by the sides, folding forward. Inhale, lifting the heart. Exhale, fold over the legs. Maybe the belly and the chest rest. Inhale, press into hands and feet, shrugging shoulders up to the ears, sitting upright. Exhale, letting the shoulders relax. A little smile. All right, we'll make our way up to standing. You're, of course, welcome to stay seated. You can do this seated. Find your pillow, and you're going to stand just in front of your chair and have the pillow. I'm going to stand a little bit to the side so I can make sure that you can see me, okay? Feet plant, feet about hips distance apart. So check to make sure your hip and your ankle are about in the same line. The pillow or something can snuggle in between your legs. Get it kind of where you're happy with it. And you want to be able to squeeze into the pillow just a little bit. Maybe that means you walk the feet in just a little bit or you add another pillow. And check to see if the pinky side of the feet are roughly parallel to each other. You're going to be just slightly pigeon-toed here. You can be doing this seated again. I'll show that in a second. A slight bend of the knees. And you're not bending the knees so they're coming past the ankle. You're actually bending the knees so you're sitting your butt a little bit back behind you, like you're going to come into a chair pose, but not quite. A little bit more weight into the heels. Squeeze the pillow. And then use your hands on the front of the belly to help make sure that the ribs are lifting away. This bottom part of the ribs lifting away from the thighs. Heart's lifting up. You're spreading the collarbones. Nice. And a little bit of weight on the pinky side of the foot, even as you squeeze the legs together. And staying right here, if that's where you are. If you're doing this seated in a chair, you could still have something in between the legs. And you're just sitting up really nice and tall. Pressing the feet into the ground, squeezing the pillow. And if you're here holding this, it's probably starting to feel like a little bit of work. You can stay right here. You can take the arms and wing them back, the palms facing back behind, or palms facing away in front of you, the back of the hand back behind you. Nice, a little bit more weight into the heels. Maybe sit back a little bit, squeeze the pillow. Nice, just as much. So you're not feeling pain in the low back, but there is starting to be a little bit of work in the seat, the low back, a little bit of fatigue. You can either stay right here, you could bring the arms out, the hands coming about eye level. Maybe you stay here, maybe you sink a little bit lower, squeeze the legs towards each other. Maybe lift the arms so the hands or the arms are coming in line with the ears. Definitely feeling some work now. Still lifting the ribs away from the thighs. This is all strengthening the back. And you might feel a little bit of fatigue in the quads. And if that's the case, then actually take a little bit of bend out of the knees and think about sitting the butt back a little bit further behind you. We're not looking for like a deep squat where we're fatiguing the front of the legs. We're looking to actually build strength on the back side of the legs. Okay, nice. Another big breath in here. Reach up through the fingers. Reach the fingers away from the hips. Okay, I like one more inhale here. Reach the fingers away from the hips. And then hands come to wing back behind you. Take a big breath here. Reach the fingers back further. Lift the heart. Hands come back to the hips. Press into the heels. Come all the way up to standing. Go ahead and remove your pillow. You can place it on the chair. Lift the heels. Do a little stretch in the ankles. Do that a couple of times. Lifting the heels, lowering them back down. Lifting the heels. Lower back down. It's definitely a little bit of work in the balance as well. I'm trying to go nice and slow, not like I did there. Inhale, lifting up. And exhale, lowering back down. You can take one foot and come to the toenail side of the foot on the ground. Get a little bit of a stretch in the top front side of the ankle. You can roll a little bit from the big toe to the pinky side. Shift over to the other foot, toenail side, a little roll, side to side. You can do this seated as well. Great. And coming to face your chair, go ahead and stand on the right side of your chair. Take your right foot onto the seat of the chair. And you check to make sure that your left ankle is pretty much right underneath your left hip. Same with the right ankle underneath the right knee. To take your right hand right into the hip crease on the right side. Try to make sure that the hip's not super lifted. This will depend a little bit on the height of your chair. So ideally, depending on the height of your chair, you might start to draw the right hip down a little bit. The chest is facing off to the side of the chair, the same way that your knees are facing. You can stay right here. You could have a hand on the back seat of the chair. You could lift the right hand. You could lift both hands, but start to press the right foot really firmly into the chair. Press the left foot really firmly into the ground. So as soon as I do that, the muscles of my legs engage. I can also pretend like I still have that pillow in between the thighs and I'm squeezing them in together here. Nice. Do this for another breath. We're looking to strengthen some of the muscles in the legs. We're also then going to give them a nice, really big, good stretch today. Building up these stability muscles. So you decide how much work this is. I can't really tell, even if we were in person, how much you're pressing the feet into the chair and into the ground. But for me, I'm doing it so much that I'm starting to shake a little bit. A little bit of a tremble. Another breath here. Nice. And go ahead and slowly release that. And I forgot to mention, if you're seated, you could be doing this as well with one foot on the support of your stool. I'll show you that in a second. We'll go ahead and start to lengthen out the right leg. And you're starting to pick the right toes up, and it's probably coming pretty far over towards the left side of your seat. The toes pulling up into the kneecap. There could be a bend in the right knee. You're still keeping your left hip pretty much right over the left ankle. And you can stay right here. There's going to be plenty of stretch, pressing into the left foot, growing really nice and tall, starting to lift the toes off the seat of the chair. Some will find that they have a little bit of space to start to lean over the leg. Maybe you bring the left forearm to the back of the chair, the right hand to the seat of the chair, maybe both hands to the seat of the chair, and you're folding over quite a bit. I'm going to come out of the shape for a second to show you, but stay right there. Show anyone who's doing these shapes seated. You could be seated with your support underneath you, one foot planted down on the ground, one foot here, and then here for this fold, hands on the sides of the chairs to fold over the leg. Okay, you're taking several long breaths here, folding over the leg, feeling a stretch in the back side of the leg for sure. Letting the chin come a little bit into the chest. You might even shake the head yes, shake the head no a little. Nice. Start to bend a little bit in to the right knee. Press the right heel into the support. Start to walk your hands up. One hand to the back of the chair, one hand to your hip. Bring the right foot back in so the right ankle's underneath the left knee. Press into your left foot. Make sure it's still underneath your hip so you have a nice steady leg to stand on. And then start to turn your chest over the right leg. You're turning over the right leg. You can keep your hand on the seat of the chair. Maybe you take the right hand, reach it back behind you, the hand coming in line with the shoulder. Palm facing the same direction as the chest. And maybe try not to let the right knee fall off to the right side quite a lot. Keeping the right knee right over the ankle, pressing both feet into the ground or the chair. You could take the left hand on the outside of the leg and just a little bit of leverage there to help you turn the chest a little bit more. Looking to turn from the spot above the belly button, turning the right shoulder back, the left shoulder forward, maybe starting to look back behind you. Definitely turns into a little bit of a balance here. Inhale, press into the feet, grow a little taller. Exhale, turn just a little more. Inhale, length. Exhale, twist. This time, inhale, the right hand back to the right hip. Turn the chest back to the center. You can walk the right foot out just a little bit. You can have a soft bend in the left knee. Start to roll onto the pinky side of the foot, or just let the knee kind of fall out to the side. You can start to shift a little bit of weight forward. You might bring the right hand to the seat of the chair. This is a variation of a lizard lunge. So you're letting the knee kind of fall out to the side. You're getting a little bit more of a stretch on the in and outside of the hip joint. You can rock a little forward and back here, make little circles. Again, stay there doing your version of that stretch. If you're here seated, you're just letting the knee fall out to the side. 3 more breaths here. One more. Nice. Use your hand on the outside of the right knee to help bring the right knee back so the knee's over the ankle, and bring the right foot back down to the ground. You can kind of march out, lifting one heel at a time, get a little bit of a stretch. And we walk over to the other side of the chair, walking over to the left side. or switching up the feet placement if you're using the support of a stool or bolster seated. Planting now your right foot and ankle right underneath the right hip. Use the chair to help lift the left foot up to the seat of the chair, the ankle underneath the knee, and maybe you do one side seated and one side standing, depending on what's going on in your body. We just start by standing here, and again, left hand, the thumb can hook on the front of the left hip. Maybe you have a tendency to have it hiked up really high. Maybe you help to encourage it without forcing it down a little bit more to the ground. So the hips are more even horizontally. Press the left foot firmly into the chair. Press the right foot firmly into the ground. Lift the chest. Still have that curve, natural curve in the low back. So you're not arching too much, letting the ribs pop forward, not rounding in too much. Looking to stand up nice and tall, the head stacked right over the shoulders. You can tell me later if I'm actually doing it right correctly. Maybe you bring the left hand up and overhead, maybe the right as well. Still pressing the feet firmly into the ground in the chair. Squeezing the inner thighs towards each other, even though they're definitely not going to meet because one knee's bent. But imagine you had that pillow or support in between them. There's almost equal weight in the 2 feet, even though you're standing on the ground on your right leg. The left foot is helping to support you. You check in to make sure you're keeping your structure. A couple more breaths here. Inhale, pressing in. Grow taller, maybe make a little space in between the vertebrae. Exhale, soften. Inhale, really breathe into the sides of the ribs. Exhale, keep a little bit of that width. Inhale, breathe into the back of the lungs. And then a little softness. One more breath. Nice. And start to relax a little bit of that pressure of the feet into the ground. A little soft bend to the right knee. Maybe wiggle the left foot out further away on the chair. And you can always adjust exactly where the chair is placed relative to you. Start to peel the toes up off. You check in again. Maybe you leaned off really far over to the right side. Can you bring the right hip over the right ankle? Can you check to see if the left hip needs to draw down just a little bit? You can use that little encouragement of the hand on the hip. You can stay right up here. This can feel like plenty of stretch. Maybe you start to lean over the leg, keeping the hip over the ankle at the bottom. Just really letting the chest come a little forward, the low belly starting to let it come towards the thigh. Bring a hand to the seat of the chair, forearm to the back, maybe both hands to the seat. Once you've found the place where you're relatively happy, let the chin fall into the chest. Notice if that changes the sensation at all. Couple breaths here, folding over the leg. You could be tented like I am on the fingers, or let the palm of the hand rest down. If the wrists are bothering you, come onto fists. 3 more breaths. Nice. Walking the hands up a little bit, a bend of the left knee, both knees, to help find yourself with the left ankle underneath the left knee, bringing the torso back upright. Reset your feet so you're nice and stable, just like you did before. The left hip hugging a little down to the ground. Start to lift up. And exhale, start to turn over the left knee and thigh, the chest coming over to the side. You could start to reach the left arm back, hand coming to the height of the shoulder, the palm facing the same direction as the chest, the thumb pointing up to the sky. You could bring the right hand to the outside of the leg, Adjusting the balance a little more, pressing right foot into the ground, left foot into the seat of the chair, finding somewhere to gaze that's not moving. A really steady gaze without straining and glaring at it, maybe. If you find that you're glaring, a little smile might help. Inhale, press in. Exhale, turn. Soften the shoulders. Inhale, lift. Exhale, twist. Inhale, lift. One more time. Exhale, reach the left arm behind you, the right shoulder a little more forward. Inhale, hand comes to the back of the chair, hand to the hip, turning back in. And we find the variation of lizard lunge. Starting to let the left knee come a little bit out to the side. You can have a soft bend in the right knee. You might bring the big toe of the foot off of the seat of the chair. You can stay upright. You can start to lean over the seat of the chair. Rock a little bit side to side, forward, back, maybe even make little circles. Letting the chin fall back into the chest. Less active pose again. So alternating between more active and a little bit more of stretch. Making circles, go the other direction, get a little even. One more big breath here. Start to walk the hands up. Use the left hand on the outside of the left leg to bring the knee back up to center. Cross into the right foot to help you stand up tall. Nice. And you go ahead and bring the foot off the seat of the chair or off the support of the stool or bolster underneath you. You can pick up one ankle, give a little roll, then the other. Stay right here on this side of the chair. You can either do this with the hands on the seat of the chair, or if you would like a little bit more height, you can use the rest on the chair. If you're doing this seated, you might find support of a table or something. You can also do this seated with the hands on the legs. We're going to do some rounds or even forearms. Do some rounds of cat and cow. So standing, this looks like the hands planted on the chair. Maybe you move your pillow out of the way. You can plant the hands down or come into fist. Inhale, let the belly soften. You can have a soft bend to the knees. Exhale, press the ground away, round in the head and the tail are heavy. The tail's tucking a little bit in between the legs. Inhale, heart comes forward. The tailbone lifts back behind you. Squeeze the shoulder blades on the back. Exhale, round in. Either staying, doing this here on the chair. I'm going to show what it might look like seated. Could be seated with just the hands on the chair. Inhale, the heart comes forward, and exhale, press the hands into the legs, rounding in. Inhale, the heart comes through the arms, arching the back. Exhale, rounding the back. Always add a little side to side movement. That feels like that's the right thing in your back, or even a little circular motion. You could be doing this if you're standing too. Two more rounds. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. Stay with your exhale in that rounding, a little soft bend to the knees. Walk your hands over towards the right side of the seat, the top right corner. Really reach through your fingers. You might even press the seat away from you, so you have to work a little bit harder. You're getting more of a stretch in the left side. And if you're seated, you can do this too, especially if you found a table or something. Reaching one or both hands out and over towards the right. Take a couple breaths there, really breathing into the left side of the ribs. Try to wiggle the hands back so they're more underneath the shoulders. Take a round here. Inhale, let the belly comes down towards the thighs. Look forward. Exhale, press in, round. Inhale, open. Exhale, curl in. Inhale. This time, exhale, you'll stay rounding in, and you'll start to walk the hands over towards the left and away from you. One or both hands. Breathe into the right side. You might even try to draw the right hip back even further away from the hips. You can even use one hand if you have that option with your balance to push the left hand on the top right thigh. Press back to rest your head on the upper arm. Breathe deeply and steady. One more. Nice. Start to wiggle the fingers back towards you. Bend of the knees. Walk the hands up the seat of the chair, the legs, all the way up to standing. Take a moment here, standing upright. The feet right underneath the hips. This is our mountain pose. The arms reach long down by the sides. Standing up nice and tall. Even through the feet. Check, maybe shift the weight. Make sure one foot doesn't have more of the weight. Share it. Make sure neither the toe nor the heel has more of the weight. Shifting forward, and shifting back, and find the center. Might close your eyes as we take 3 breaths here, reaching the fingers down to the ground, reaching the shoulders out to the sides. Inhale, pressing the feet, the crown of the head lifting. One more inhale. And exhale. Start to soften the arms. And you're going to bring now your right foot on the seat of the chair. So you're standing exactly where you were on the left side of the chair. So now the right foot is on top of the chair and it's closer towards the seat of the chair. Go ahead and wiggle it out so it's further away from you, just like you were doing before. Make sure that your left ankle is underneath the left hip and you're looking to stand up really tall here. And you can check to make sure that you're facing forward towards the right toes, drawing the right toes in. Some people will have a little bit of the strength to start to lift the heel off of the seat of the chair. I didn't say it, but you could of course grab something if you wanted, like a scarf, and use that to wrap around the foot and help you to lift it. You lift and hover the heel for a moment, and you can be doing this, hovering the heel off of the stool or foof if you're seated. Nice. Ooh, and it's definitely some work, definitely up and into all the muscles around the hip joint, a little bit into the quad as well. You could either stay with the heel lifted or place it back down. We're going to turn towards the right leg now. Maybe you bring both hands to the back of the chair. You might take your right hand to the right hip and help you to turn back and away. And maybe you take the right arm back behind you. We're twisting here now. Great. Similar to what we did, you could be doing it the same as we did before with the knee bent. Just be here for one more breath. Come back to face your toes. Now you're going to wiggle your left toes. So the left toes point towards the front, and you're opening up now. You're starting to turn the chest to face the same direction as your left toes. And also thinking about squeezing the right seat in. So you can even feel the right seat and make sure that the glute is engaging. What that looks like from the side is instead of sitting here with my butt out really far back behind me, I'm pressing in to my left foot. I'm standing up really tall, and then I'm squeezing my right glute. So it's tucking a little bit underneath me. Not too far so I'm super rounded and starting to press my hips forward, my knees bending, but just that in between where there's a little bit of engagement. Okay. Opening up. And you can stay right here. You could start to slide the right hand down the right leg a little bit. And you're still trying to turn the chest to face the same direction as your left toes. Maybe you turn the shoulder so the left shoulder goes a little bit further back behind you. The right shoulder comes a little bit more in front. A little roll back still. And having the back of the hand on the top of the leg or the seat of the chair. But the back of the hand, if you're on the leg, can help you to make sure that you're pressing in to the right heel and you're using the strength of the leg and not just dumping a bunch of weight on the leg. It could be a little unsafe. You can stay right here. You could reach the left arm up and overhead like you're going to reach and touch. Not going to happen. Your right toes. And stay there for a couple of breaths. I'm just going to show what this might be looking like if you're doing this seated. You started with the leg long out in front of you, and then you could walk the left foot over to the left side and then start to turn over to the left. So it could be looking like this if you're seated. All right, great. If you're reaching the left arm up overhead, start to bring it back down to the hip. Might bring the right hand to the back of the chair. Bring the torso upright. Start to turn the left toes back to face the chair. Bend the right knee. Bring the whole foot down on the ground. You can march out the feet a little. Give them any of the wrists, any of the ankles, a roll as you make your way over to stand on the right side of the seat. And we'll do that on the other side. Okay. So plant really firmly into the right foot, right ankle underneath the right hip. Take up the left foot, bringing it back to the seat of the chair. You could have the foot kind of resting on the seat of the chair for even a little bit of extra support. We're standing up nice and tall. You can have the knee bent. Inhale, lifting up, and then exhale, start to turn over the left leg. Maybe you bring both hands to the back of the chair, making sure that you're nice and even weight over the right foot. Maybe you take the left arm back behind you, the hand coming height of the shoulder will be your just for another breath. It's a really short twist here. Might feel a nice stretch in the outside of the left leg. Hand coming back to the hip, turning back to the center. Nice. And then you start to wiggle the toes so that the right toes are now facing towards the front. Your chest is starting to turn to face the same direction as your toes. Still pointing the left toes right up to the sky, and maybe even paying attention to the left knee, trying to roll all the way up into the hip socket, up towards the sky. Pausing here. Maybe you start to lean over the left leg just a little. Could be right here, hand on the hip, trying to really engage the left seat. You can have the hand on top of the leg. Maybe you reach the right arm up overhead, the palm facing down, reaching out through the fingers. Starting to get even more stretch on the right ribs. And if the knee's bothering you, add a soft bend of the left knee. Make sure you're rotating it out. Nice. You got it. The top hand coming back to the hip. Pressing into the hand and the foot, come all the way up. Try to turn the right toes back to face the chair. And we didn't do it on the other side, so I'll give you the opportunity, or on this side, I'll give you the opportunity here. Stand up nice and tall. Maybe you hover the heel on the seat of the chair, and maybe you're hoping I would forget forever. Maybe you're hovering. This could also just be your nice strengthening, pressing the heel into the seat of the chair, drawing the left hip down. Nice. You got this. All right. letting the heel come back down if it wasn't already. Oh, go ahead and bring both feet to the ground. A little sway side to side, can bend the knees. You can stand using the seat of the chair. You could also use the back of the chair. Could be doing this seated as well and crossing the ankles. I'll show in a second. Bringing the left foot back behind the right. There can be some distance, or maybe you bring the pinky toes closer together. You can bend the knees quite a lot. And then you're starting to fold over. And you're trying to press the whole foot, each foot down into the ground. So make sure the big toes are pressing down. Maybe you bring your hands to the seat of the chair. Maybe you have the forearms on the back of the chair. Maybe you bring your forearms to the back of the seat, or even the hands all the way down to the ground. We're folding over with the legs crossed. And this should give you a nice stretch, especially in the left leg behind. And if you wanted to try the seated, you could just be having the legs crossed. You might sit back a little bit in the chair and fold over the legs. You might feel it more if you come onto the heels and dip forward. Just play with it and find some place where you're getting stretch in the back of the legs. Great. Really start to fold over. Maybe find somewhere to rest your forehead, whether that's on the seat, right here, on the back of the chair. And the more that you sit your butt back and let the belly drop down, as long as that's okay on the low back, the more sensation you'll feel in the outer hip and the IT band. 2 more breaths on the side. 1 more. Softly bending the knees, pressing your hands into the seat. Come all the way up. We have to do the other side because it's a little bit of a different stretch. The right foot behind the left now. Crossing the feet, pinky side of the feet towards each other or touching. A bend of the knees can help you negotiate your cross of your knees and your thighs. And you start to fold over to any degree. Maybe it's a different height on this side or a different depth. Folding over, starting to let the hips press back away. A little more weight on the heels. The head heavy. Press into both big toes. 3 breaths. Nice. Soft bend of the knees, pressing the hands in, using them to help you come all the way to stand. Go ahead and unravel the legs. Give them a little shake. And 1 more standing strength pose. You can do this in front of the seat of the chair. Take the feet out a little bit, probably wider than the width of your chair. The toes pointed out to the side, and you start to sit the hips back. We did a version of this seated last week. If you were here, bend the knees. If not, you can go back and watch it. Shift side to side. And you're looking to have the torso pretty upright. It doesn't have to be totally stacked shoulders over hips. That's pretty intense. You're not leaning super far forward. You can use the hands on the legs. And press the feet down into the ground. Try to squeeze the heels in towards each other. As soon as I try to engage and squeeze the heels in towards each other, the inside of the legs fires up. Definitely some work. You can use the hands on the inner thighs, just a slight encouragement of this opening across the groin. You can lift the toes for a little extra. That'll actually fire up more muscles all the way up and into the pelvic floor on the back side of the legs. 2 more breaths here. Maybe a little smile, maybe a little glare at me. 1 more. Oh, press into the feet, lengthen the legs, reach the arms out really wide, this big X or star shape. Lift the heart up, bend the knees, Look for the seat of the chair right behind you. Come down, sit down. Bring the knees back in. Pause for a moment, the knees right over the ankles, just like you started seating, noticing. Noticing the breath, maybe it picked up a little with that last strengthening. Maybe you notice a little bit more sensation or openness or strength in the legs, the hips, maybe a little more looseness in the low back, and the sides of the body. And we'll look to create a little bit more, opening the eyes if they were closed. Press into the left foot, hug the right knee up and in. Just give it a little squeeze to start. And we're gonna do our figure four. So crossing the right ankle over the left thigh. You start to let the knee fall out to the side. You can use your hand on the thigh, a little massage, even up and into the seat. We do this just because it's so good and so effective and needed for many of us. Use the hands either on the seat of the chair or on the legs to help sit up really nice and tall. And you're looking to get rid of that rounding. So none of this rounding in. You can use your hand in the low back to help lift up. And then you can start to fold over the legs to your degree. Maybe it's right here with the hands coming to the legs. Maybe you're starting to fold over the forearms, maybe draping the arms and the body over the legs, letting the head be heavy. 5 long breaths here. Two more. Hands coming back up to the legs, pressing into the left foot, pressing into the legs just a little bit, especially the left thigh to come all the way up. Really gently use the hand on the outside of the knee to bring it back up and in. Bring the foot back down to the ground. Reset. Hug the left knee in. Give it a nice squeeze up. A little pulse. And then the ankle across the thigh. A little massage or just light rub on the leg. Maybe a little shift side to side. Hands either on the seat or on the legs to help you lift up. Maybe hand on the low back. Bring it forward. And then you fold over. Forearms to legs, palms, draping the belly, chest, arms. Knowing that it might be different on this side. So you can try something else. There can be a little rock side to side. Looking to settle in. Three more breaths. Not worrying about how deep you are. More concerned with that it feels good and it's the stretch that you need right now. One more long breath. And let it out of the mouth. Bring the hands back up to the legs, pressing into the right foot, bringing torso upright. Bringing the hands on the knee to help bring it up and in, ankle off the leg, bring the foot down. Okay, we're gonna do variations of a frog pose. And one option that you could do, if you feel comfortable standing up, you can standing up and then also turning to face the back side of your chair. turn my chair. Grab your pillow. You can sit on the chair. Maybe this makes you feel like a little kid, and that's great. And you're using the pillow on the chair as a place to rest your forehead. You're widening out the feet just like you did in that goddess squat before we sat back down, that strengthening pose. The toes are pointing out to the side, the same direction as the knees. And you're starting to lean over. Maybe you sit the butt back a little bit. Maybe you wiggle the legs out a little bit wider. Maybe you have a place to drape your arms over the back of the chair. Maybe you let the belly come in a little bit more. You can shift a little side to side. That's an option of the shape to take. If you're not comfortable, especially when you think about having to get out of this shape with sitting backwards, you can also take your seat. I'll do it here up against the wall so you can see it from the side. You can take your chair close to a wall with your pillow with you again and move some of my things out of the way. And you're bringing the seat of the chair pretty close to the wall. Maybe someone can help you if that's something you need. And the feet coming out wide again here. The pillow can come up to the wall so you have a nice soft place to rest the forehead. And in either shape, the arms could drape over the back of your chair. They can also rest on the legs. Maybe just a really light encouragement to let them sit out. And you might sit your seat back a little further. So you're letting this low curve in the low back get a little deeper. That'll help you get a little bit more stretch on the inside of the legs. So you are choosing one of those options. Make sure back here, again, sitting on the chair backwards. The feet out and the knees out pretty wide, knees in the same direction as the toes. Somewhere to rest the forehead with the support of your pillow. Maybe sitting the hips back a little bit, letting the low belly tilt a little bit forward. Hands on the legs. You're resting in front of you, draping over the back of the chair. There's a little bit of engagement in the feet. Maybe even walk the feet so the feet are in a little bit in front of the knees so that more gravity is pulling the knees out to the side. But there might be a little bit of effort here to press the whole foot down into the ground, to get that opening on the inner thighs. And when you're taking several long breaths here, I'm going to be here for a minute or so. Find some place to settle in, this long stretch, and know that it can take the body at least that full minute to really arrive, to really start to feel the stretch and to feel the calming sensations of the stretch. Using your exhalations to release some tension. Maybe letting the low back round a little as you hold in. Maybe letting the fingers wiggle. Open the mouth and move the jaw side to side. Maybe wiggle the toes to make sure they're not gripping the ground, even if the feet are slightly pressing in. The shoulders fall away from the ears. Let some of that gripping go in the seat. more than welcome to stay here a little bit longer. Maybe you start to draw the knees in just a little bit closer, wiggling the feet, pressing into the arms, lifting the forehead. And carefully, if you're sitting backwards especially, coming to sit forward, and everyone bringing their knees back in together. Bring your pillow in between your inner thighs, knees over the ankles, sitting up nice and tall. Eyes can close when you're ready. The low back lifting away from the seat of the chair. Shoulders spreading. And it doesn't need to be a super tight squeeze of the pillow, but just a little bit of this reminder to draw in again. A little bit of the opposite action of letting the knees fall out to the sides. Choosing whether you want the palms to face down or up on the legs, down to help you settle, ground, up with the palms to help you feel a little bit more energized. And this last opportunity to check in, to notice how the body feels. Maybe you check in with your space again, noticing the temperature of the air. Noticing the sounds in your space, your background noise outside of your space. And attention to the breath coming in the body, leaving the body. Open the mouth for your exhales, breathing in, breathing out. Breathing in, notice the temperature. The temperature as you breathe out, maybe a little warmer. Breathing in, notice the taste and smell if there is one. And as you breathe out of the mouth, breathing in, breathing out, breathing in, breathing out. Bringing your hands to your heart, the palms pressing down or together. Bow your head slightly. Check in with anything that you identified that you needed for practice. How did you want to take care of yourself? Did you give that to yourself? Maybe not, and that's okay too. This is your chance to recommit to it. What do you need to do to take care of yourself so that you can be there for everyone else, even virtually? Take another big inhale. Big breath out of the mouth. Thanks to yourself for making this time. You can lift the head, let the hands relax, and slowly open the eyes if they were closed. Maybe a little smile, knowing that there's others who are doing this movement with you. You're not alone. I'm here if you need anything. I'm Emily, and I will see you all very soon. Be well.